Hello and welcome to the Watch Kaki channel, where we bring you all the good and honest watch reviews. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel because I have new videos uploaded for you every week. In today's video, we are going to take a quick look at this watch here. This is the Stowa Antea 41. Right, it's a slightly older watch in my collection. I think I must have bought this way back in 2012, and as you can see, it still has the older script logo under the 12 o'clock. So whenever we talk about the Stowa Antea line, there is always, it's always inevitable that we talk about the Nomos tangent as well. So these two watches, they follow the Bauhaus style, and you can see that the fonts here, they're unmistakable, and the styling is also pretty much similar. Only difference being Stowa has all the numbers printed, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all the way to 12, whereas on the Nomos only the even numbers are printed, and both watches, they have kleiner secunda, which means small seconds at 6 o'clock. Thereby the 6 o'clock marker is eaten up by the small seconds. So as you can see, the Stowa Antea 41 is indeed a huge watch compared to the more standard 35mm Nomos tangent. Here you can see the big difference, alright? So I've just zoomed in a bit as we talk about the specs on the Antea 41. So as the name implies, the case size is 41mm. It's got a case thickness, total thickness from bottom of the display crystal to the top is 10mm. On paper it sounds like a very thin watch, but due to the construction, alright, it doesn't wear as thin as it suggests. Lug width here is 22mm, and I think that's pretty suitable for a 41mm case size. And finally, we got a pretty long lug to lug distance. It is 50.2mm measured on my digital calipers. So this watch here is not just about the case size, because for many watches, when we talk about 42 or even a 45mm case size, you got a dial that is about 33 to 35mm. Now this one here, the Antea 41, is got a very big dial size. The crystal size here is 37mm. So this is truly a big watch. Alright, the case is big, the dial is big, the face is also very big. And now we take a look at what I deem the highlight of this watch here. This is the beautiful movement here. Well, this is a highly modified or an improved version of the Unitas 6498 movement. Right? It is a pocket watch movement, hand winding, 17 jewels. I think it's got 46 hours power reserve. Now, what Stowa has done to improve this movement is the addition of the swan neck regulator here. Right, this part here, you can see this curved thingy is called the swan neck. And to add on to the swan neck regulator, we've got really nice details like blue screws. I read that these screws, they are not painted, they are heated to blue. Alright, and I think that's pretty cool. And we've got really nice perlage here, and of course we've got Geneva stripes on the movement. This movement here, I think, is just beautiful to look at. And of course, to put a touch of, sort of like a in-house kind of engraving, Stowa has done their engraving of the logo here in gold. I think this is really nice. I actually prefer the old logo with the slanted capital S here. I think it's much cooler than the new logo, but of course your mileage will vary. At the time of this video, the retail price for the Stowa Antea 41 is 1,260 euros. Since I bought this watch about 8-9 years ago, I think I paid around 850 euros for it. So as you can see, the prices have gone up quite a bit over the years for Stowa watches. So now let's go on and talk about the case design and build quality. Now this watch here has got an all polished case. Alright, so every surface of the watch is polished. I would say the polish is okay. It's very basic. Alright, it's not the highest quality, but I guess it's basic for watches of this price point. And it's got a really thin crown here, and I do find that this thin crown here sort of makes winding a little bit more difficult. And as you can see here, the crown is signed with Stowa's logo. So when we talk about a Bauhaus watch, alright, this one here has all the signature moves. What am I saying? It's got thin lugs, and it's got a thin bezel, and of course it's got that perpendicular case construction. So take a look at the case side. It is hard angle, it's perpendicular 90 degrees. So in many watches you will see bevels and rounded off edges, but not for Bauhaus watches. Alright, so this is the Antea, but I also have the Nomos on hand. Alright, in fact it's beside me throughout this video. So you take a look here, all these signature case design of Bauhaus watches, and you will see that executed, and it is done very uniformly. So all the sides here, they are hard edges, all right, perpendicular, no curves, no bevels. So looking at the side profile, you will see that the mid case is probably the entire watch, and it's got minimal to no curves at all. So it's flat here, there is no curves. Even at the lugs here, they're more or less straight, right? It slopes down a bit, but I think that's just about it. We're going to see how this impacts the wearability of the watch later on in the video. Now we're going to spend some time to talk about the dial. Of course, this one here, commonly known as the white dial version of the Antea, but I can tell you that as with all these descriptions, they're not accurate. This watch here is silver dial, right? The silver is not the shiny type. It's got a texture going on, right? Just like the Nomos that I've featured before in my channel. So this one here has got a silver dial. It looks off-white sometimes under different angle or different lighting conditions, but in truth it is silver, and it's got a bit of eggshell kind of texture going on. So I think I really like this dial here, and even at the 6 o'clock small seconds hand area here, you've got a recessed area, and it's got circular lines running along. So apart from the distinct Bauhaus numbers or fonts and the minute track, alright, so this watch here I would say is pretty plain. Alright, of course you got the branding Stowa here, and at 6 o'clock area you don't even see things like made in Germany or Stowa Germany. It's just very plain and very simple looking. And lastly, I'd like to bring your attention to those hands. Alright, the hands here, I can't really get a good angle on the lighting. Now the hands are flame blue. Alright, here you can see that the hands are flamed blue. Alright, the hour, minute and seconds hand, and I think that is the beauty of light colored dial Bauhaus design watches. You really need those blued hands. And now I've zoomed back out for a wrist shot, so you can see here that this is just about the maximum that my wrist can take. Alright, the 41mm case size, and the dial here is really big. This watch is almost all dial, and there is a hint of lug overhang here because it's got a really long lug to lug length. I think it's about 50.2, and to make it worse, the case, the side profile, it doesn't curve or anything like that, the mid case here. As to the lugs, they don't curve at all, so there is a hint of lug overhang, and I really think that wearing watches of these styles, I think Bauhaus style with all the long and thin lugs, you probably need to stick to watches that are under 40mm case size. So all in all, I would say the build quality is pretty good for watches of this price range. I think if you're talking about 1,200 euros, I think it is pretty decent. Alright, it's not the best, okay, it's not the best, I really have to tell you that, but I think it's decent, and it is topped off by this really beautiful looking movement here. Alright, you just take a look at this lovely engravings, okay, and all the decorations done on this movement. So one of the more important reasons that attracted me to this watch is this beautiful looking movement here. You will never get tired of looking at this, it's just beautiful. But if you were to ask me, alright, watch kaki, will you buy this watch now? Alright, will you buy it today in 2020? My answer to you is a resounding no. Alright, I will not buy this watch again if I had to make the choice, because I think this watch here has got pretty poor proportions. Alright, so the case is okay, you know, I bought this at a time where big watches were in trend, people were paying good money for 47mm Panerais. They're paying more than 10,000-15,000 for that kind of watches. So I wanted something big, all right, something bigger in the Bauhaus design, and I ordered this for around 850 euros. But today I will not buy this watch again because I feel that the proportions are just way off. All right, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look. You know, a Bauhaus watch is supposed to have that bit of casual, at the same time elegant feel to it, but there is nothing elegant in this case design. You can see, I apologize for the smudges down here. So you can see from the case side here, all right, this is all blocky and chunky. And if I take the Nomos for comparison, okay, I'm just gonna put them side by side. All right, you can see the big difference. Okay, take a look at the lugs on the Nomos. All right, they are very thin. All right, this is what Bauhaus is all about. All right, it's elegant looking. Over here, it gets a bit too chunky, too blocky, and I think you're sort of losing the essence of Bauhaus design. All right, now even the front, all right, looking at the front, the bezel is a bit thicker than necessary. I think it's about 2mm, and this one here is only 1mm, the bezel, the width of the bezel, as are the lugs. Take a look, the lugs here, they are very thin, 1.2mm, and over here you can see the lugs are easily around 2mm. But on the whole, the watch here looks just really good, right? The design, the simplicity of the dial, the fonts, the colors, blue hands, beautiful movement. Okay, so I think it's a good watch, but if you ask me, I will not buy it again. So there you have it. That was my quick impressions of my Stowa Antea 41. It's a really nice, simple watch, lovely movement that can be seen from the exhibition case back. Fantastic. Okay, but these days I think, well, you should stick to watches that are under 40mm for such styling. And again, I think top up a bit more of money and go for a Nomos. I think that will be an even better choice. All right, so if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next week for new watch videos. This is the Watch Kaki and George. We're gonna say goodbye for now. Bye bye.